Greetings, gentlemen and ladies, I'm the Crypto Game Snob, and in today's video we are taking a look at a sort of frenzied aggro war deck with a twist up against a sleep deception deck. So we're kicking things off here with some mulligan action. Oh yeah, choosing some cards to play, that's what it's all about. Now, sleep deception. If you've ever played sleep deception, you'll know, it is one of the most aggravating decks to play against. You spend half the game or more asleep. Anyway, so facing up against sleep deception, and not a whole heck of a lot to play in this early part. But you know what, let's kick things started with a Raid Reveler. He follows up Non-Notion, by the way, good game, brother. That was an interesting one. And this was a bit of an experimental deck. You know, basically frenzied aggro war, like I say, with a twist. Who would have thought the twist would actually come into play? And it came into play in a rather interesting way. And that's all I'm going to say for now. That stone skin, very effective. Just throwing down some bodies on the board, a little bit of Thundercaller action because lacking a better option at the moment. Got to give my opponent something to kill, right? Otherwise there's no game. If I don't throw a card down, there's nothing for him to kill, and what are we even doing? Just flipping the switch back and forth? That's not a game. Yeah, I basically figure he's got something to counter pretty much most of the stuff I have in hand here, and that's just kind of the progression of it. You kind of gotta use up your opponent's resources, and that's kind of the way. Unless your opponent happens to be magic, whom which has seemingly infinite resources, seemingly with tempo magic, which I've been facing so much against this weekend ranked and having a miserable time at it with my aggro war. Yeah. Anyway, so with a bit of that in mind, I actually kind of mixed up the deck a bit, doing a little bit of a variation on the frenzied aggro war here. Like I say, with a twist. Big old Guild Enforcer comes down, but I have an Archangel Bruiser in hand, also a Tavern Brawler, which will be just enough to trade even. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah, thinking about this one, I can never remember if it's strength or health that gets swapped around. I've done that the wrong way a few times. It's not good. It's not good when you buff your opponent up. Anyway, even Steven, that's what we're looking at here, even trade. Yeah, so I actually shuffled the Guild Enforcer into this deck. I hadn't been running it before in the kind of deck feature that I showed a few days ago on this channel. Just because I find that, have been finding or wanting to test just how well like a decent frontline does, kind of in the middle of the game. Guild Enforcer is no joke either. Aha, there's the twist that I was talking about, right? So basically what we have here is a deck that tops out at 6 mana, just like a frenzied aggro war deck should do or would do, but we've tossed in a Polyhymnia into the mix, and the whole thinking behind that is if there's some way to get Odie down, right, and get that Polyhymnia in hand, maybe reduce it by 1 mana or even 2 mana, you know, if such a thing were possible, the idea then would be to possibly play Polyhymnia at a ridiculously early part of the game. And that was kind of the LOL testing that I thought I'd do here with this deck. Didn't go down that way, spoiler alert, but yeah, it became interesting nonetheless. Avatar of was that Avatar of Deception? Yeah, or is that Loki and Disciple? I can't remember. Once again, reading the text on that card so I don't make the wrong flip. Is that a 1-1 or a 2-1? 4-1 and back and forth. That's like, which one is it? I forget. Anyway, I just want to keep that Guild Enforcer on the board here a little bit longer, so I traded a little bit of my Orcish Elite's health up, just to keep it on board one more time, a little like one more turn, because when it dies, my opponent draws a card, and yeah, I'd rather not have that happen. More cards, more options, more good. Now, this is my first time actually playing the Grand Hall. Like I say, shuffled a few things into the deck. I read this wrong. I thought this buffed all of my creatures in hand, not the creatures on the board. So I kind of dicked that up. Even still, that was probably one of my only real good options anyway. Yeah, so I read that wrong, but that's okay. He drops down a Demogorgon, as Sleep Deception loves to do right around turn 7 or mana 7. Sleep Deception starts becoming extremely difficult to deal with. If it survives till mana 7, it becomes a whole other. It becomes Sleep Deception's game, basically. Anyway, I have just enough to take care of that Demogorgon combining Tavern Brawler and Archangel Bruiser. Do like all the blitz in this hand. It's some good stuff. There's me rereading the card, thinking, did I read that wrong? Yes, I did read that wrong. It was better the way I read it, better the way I thought it was, but hey, that's alright. Oh, some roguey boys. And in hand, I also tossed in the Malosian Infiltrator. I forget how to pronounce that. The perfect counter to Pyramid Warden, which allows me to pull back a card from my Void, which is okay. Raid Reveler with Protected is okay. Rune of Strength is also very nice to have in hand. Give something 2/2 in front line. That's always handy. That can be oftentimes very game swinging, really, depending on what stage of the game you're at. Anyway, things are looking okay right now. Like, okay, right? Got a few cards on the board, but yeah, no. Sleep Deception, there we go. Elixir of the Panther, put everything to sleep, right? This is what Sleep Deception loves to do, and this is why it's so damn annoying to play against. You might feel like you're ahead, but nah, appearances can be deceiving. Anyway, a little bit more stats on the Malosian Infiltrator, however the heck you say that guy's name, I forget. And you know what, why not? Let's drop some Red Fume Serum, also on my Raid Reveler. Now I got some big stats on the board, right. So he's got to take care of those, or else he's in big trouble. But does anybody here doubt that Sleep Deception has some option for dealing with all sorts of problems on the board? Nope. No, he has no problem with that, no worries. Right, this is playing Sleep Deception. You got to get used to this, playing things down. So here I'm thinking, all right, Raid Reveler is protected. That's good. I got Odie. You know, there's an outside chance that maybe, just maybe, he won't be able to clear the Odie off the board. It's an outside chance. It's very wishful thinking on my part, but I don't really have anything else to play, right? There we go. Elixir of the Snake goes right through protected. Perfect. That works brilliantly. Like I say, playing Sleep Deception, that's what it's all about. Be prepared to feel disappointed over and over and over again. Oh yeah, anyway, nothing better to play. Warmonger Smith, but of course I'm eyeing up my Polyhymnia here. Thinking if I could get to 9 mana, maybe, just maybe, there's some way I could hopefully maybe turn this game around, maybe. There goes down the Jason, of course. Shuffling some legendary cards into his hand. You know, I'm sure at this point I'm thinking Sleep Deception, I'm sure has a way to clear Polyhymnia, right, with 9 mana and all the tricks that Sleep Deception has. There's probably a way to clear it. It's probably multiple ways. Anyway, bit of Slayer, Thunder Caller, Triggered Frenzy for a little 4/4 Frenzied Slayer. Now here's the thing, I'm just throwing cards on the table kind of as a distraction, right? Just to keep my opponent occupied. Because there's no way he expects a Polyhymnia in my hand. Frenzy Aggro War doesn't use Polyhymnia, right? It just doesn't. It's a silly card to have in your hand, unless you're doing some crazy experimental stuff, like I happen to be, which is what made this game kind of fun and kind of interesting. Anyway. So he's started to go for the face at this point. Master Tactician. In retrospect, I might have wanted to keep that in my hand, but throw down some Master Tactician. Again, my whole strategy here is just to keep some distractions on the board, just to kind of keep them busy and occupied as we make our way to mana 9. Because, like I say, there's no sensible reason for Frenzied Aggro War to have a mana 9 Polyhymnia, so I'm sure he's not expecting that there. And I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, you know, maybe there's some option here. I'm just trying to get him to burn resources at the moment by throwing down whatever threats I have available. And there we go. Hunting Trap is always a good one to get out of your opponent's hand, even though it wouldn't have done actually that much damage to Polyhymnia. It would have maybe popped a ward or something, I'm not sure. Anyway, Form of Power. Yeah, just, you know, using up resources. That's the whole strategy here. And he's played my Odie, which kind of pisses me off because I didn't get a chance to use my Odie, but he's played my Odie. Anyway, mana 9, Polyhymnia goes down. And believe it or not, this is my very first time ever playing Polyhymnia, just because I don't usually play high mana curve decks. Usually just play in kind of the mana 6 range, you know, aggro nature and that sort of thing. So here I'm thinking, he hasn't got an immediate response to this. That's got to be a good sign. Usually when your opponent has something to answer your card with, they play it immediately, right? So he decides to make a random copy, to make a copy of my Polyhymnia, right? So that's a interesting strategy, certainly. I mean, 2 Polyhymnias. I don't know what he's got as his finishers. Probably the Jason is his finisher and whatever legendaries he manages to delve. Who knows if he's got any more mana 9s, but hey, all you need to do is copy your opponent's best card, right? Anyway, Red Fume Serum is also in hand at the moment. And so I decide just to give my Polyhymnia a nice big buff. Now we have a super scary 11/17 4 armor protected warded Polyhymnia that doesn't even take any damage from its burn. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm sure he has a lot of options. He's probably wishing he kept his cheat power active, because that would have potentially solved this problem quite easily, right? You just go right through that front line and it's game. But there goes down Polyhymnia, of course, and a counter Polyhymnia against my Polyhymnia, although mine is bigger and mine is burning on fire, so it's extra terrifying, right? It doesn't hurt my Polyhymnia, but it adds that menace and fear just to be ignited into flames, or so I use my imagination to imagine. Anyway, I did end up shuffling a couple Viking longships into my hand, and I just want to be super sure about how I'm triggering this frenzy here, because I actually got a couple options for frenzy at this moment. Anyway, there goes the Viking longship, triggering the flank attack on Polyhymnia for what I will confess was a very satisfying turnaround. No notion, brother. Thank you for the game. Apologies for the clickbait title, but hey, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. That one could have gone either way, and I probably had no business actually winning that one, but hey, that's why this video is kind of an interesting one. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. See you guys later.